Why do you even have a tag? That's what the public wants to know.
That will not be discussed. We're not
You
talking about
practiced that a few times.
Call us crazy, you guys. Today we are going to take our 6-year-old to the most dangerous neighborhood in all of Medellin, Colombia, and we're going to take you with us.
Comuna 13 or Comuna 13 is known for being one of the roughest neighborhoods in Medellin historically. Colombia does not have the best reputation internationally, but a lot of that reputation is based on old news and a reality that doesn't exist anymore. So we are here on the ground today in Medellin to show you what's really going on.
There aren't many official bus stops. This is about as close as you get. There's just kind of like a little paved area here where we're waiting on the bus, and this bus is supposed to take us all the way into Medellin, and then we have to figure out how to get to the San Javier neighborhood. Hola, buenas. We've made it on the bus, and this is just a windy ride down the mountain. Oh my goodness. Everybody's so used to it but us. You can always tell who the tourists are. Okay. All right, we got to go back this way because we just missed our stop by a little bit.
We left so early this morning that the cable cars aren't open. So we're having to do something totally new. And we don't really know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing, and the bus that we just took us a little bit longer. We anticipated about 30 minutes to get down, took us 45 minutes. And so now the guy was like, yeah, just get off here, walk down that street and catch the train. I don't even see a train station, so we'll see what happens. This looks promising. Get some help from the local security guard here.
Okay. Gracias.
All right, let me have the card. There it is. Woo. So the guy said we take this one all the way to San Antonio.
Yep, let's do it. It's really disorienting to use the public transportation if you don't know where you're going, but the reality is it works. And in a city of millions of people, it's amazing where you can get using the system.
Welcome to the Comuna 13. This is Adrian here, a local. Today I'm performing this tour for my visitors and all. I'm going to show them how we managed to turn Comuna 13 from one of the most violent places in the world into one of the most visited places in Colombia. I'm gonna show you everything, the history, the places where I hang, and also how the hip-hop culture is giving us a positive impact here. Eric,
Brittany, and Caspian.
Brittany, Caspian. That's a typical one, but it's a real nice name, like the Caspio Sea.
Exacto.
Back in the 80s, we had guerrillas. Then after that, we had like a war zone because the government started doing like military operations to take these guerrillas out. After that, another illegal group took the place called paramilitarismo, and they created something called Bacrim or criminal bands, which are basically teenagers, little kids, working for paramilitarians in order to have control on the narco traffic or micro traffic in this case, and also in extortion, which in Colombia we call la vacuna. If you understand the history of Comuna 13, you will get a better picture, a bigger picture of what's Colombia in general. More than tourists, I see you as visitors, so I hope that you're really interested in the story of Comuna 13. I don't know if you can see a construction site. They are building something called the viaduct. This is a way to make it easier for the motorcycles to come to this neighborhood. This neighborhood has no streets, so the only way to get in is by corridors or alleys. That's also a reason why For a long time, these people had no electricity, water services, or police control. The guerrillas, being criminals and illegal groups, they started being like the government of Comuna 13. They started building streets, also community centers, also medical centers, some schools, actually being like leaders of the Comuna 13. But it wasn't a paradise. These guerrillas also started requiring for extortions, also killing a lot of them. This was just a way to say, hey, now we are the justice here, right? We are basically the ones taking or making decisions. The first graffitis or the first murals in Comuna 13 were actually painted by illegal groups, by the guerrillas, trying to mark their territories. Graffiti has always been present in the Comuna 13, in good and bad ways as well. So Comuna 13 was just a small communist outpost of the guerrillas inside an important city like Medellin. There's different reasons why these guerrillas took the Comuna 13. One of those reasons is that behind that mountain we have a highway. This highway is called the Way to the Sea, or La Vía al Mar. This is the highway that connects the city of Medellin with the ports in the Pacific Ocean. And this was basically a reason these guerrillas took the Comuna 13. They wanted to do terrorism against the government in an important city like Medellin, and also have access to the ports and to an important highway like La Vía al Mar. Well, not only one group took the Comuna 13, several guerrilla groups took it at the same time and started having issues between each other. So, in the 20 years the guerrillas stayed here, it was a war zone, right? Basically, these guerrillas fighting with each other, while at the same time they were fighting the government, while at the same time the government paid the paramilitary groups to take the south side of Comuna 13 and fight the guerrillas from inside. Those years were like the Wild West in Comuna 13. Basically, you needed to survive in one or another way. That's Operación Orión mural. Operación Orión was the last of 21 military operations the government did in 3 years between 2000 to 2002. They took the guerrillas out, retook the control from the guerrillas, and after the military operations, the other illegal group that I told you, the paramilitarians, they took the control of it. So we went from being under control of the guerrillas to be under control of the paramilitarians. As you can see, there's two faces. One of them is Pachamama. Pachamama shows us both present and the past of Comuna 13. A past full of violence, full of blood, full of people disappearing, all right? But also show us the present. The present basically give us hope. In the past, like 10 years ago, I used to listen almost every day that somebody was getting murdered. Today, let's say that it still happens, but it's like, well, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, you know? It's way less than it used to be 10 years ago. And that's what Pachamama explained us in this piece. The other face is Doña Socorro. Well, Doña Socorro is a woman in Comuna 13 who in the middle of the military operations started a protest with white flags. And because of this act of bravery, she became like into a sign of Comuna 13 and how strong the women are here. That's why she has like a wooden skin. That's what it represents. Actually, she started a group of women in Comuna 13, which is called AMI, Asociación Mujeres de las Independencias. It still exists, one of the biggest social programs that we have in Comuna 13, and they speak about really important topics, like for example, how to get electricity, how to get water services, how to stop the violence with education. They are basically the ones who started openly talking about the issues of Comuna 13. Say that these paramilitarians started taking the whole territory. They started doing something called the social cleaning, basically trying to erase all kind of communism out of Comuna 13. So for example, they started searching for mans with earrings. They used to say, if you use earrings, you're probably homosexual. And if you're homosexual, you're probably a liberal. And if you're liberal, You're communist. And if you're communist, you're a guerrilla as well, and you need to die. As I told you, these paramilitarians, they control the narco traffic in Colombia. The difference with the guerrillas, because remember that the guerrillas also did narco traffic, is that the guerrillas used to say, we sell drugs to other countries, but we don't sell drugs in our country. These paramilitarians, they saw that opportunity. They said, well, we're already selling drugs outside. Why don't we take the business, the market inside as well? Recruiting people who lives here in Comuna 13. Whom? Little kids and teenagers. They created something called the human slaughterhouses, places where they used to put people who they consider communists or related to the guerrillas. They used to recruit these little kids and children, basically wash their brains. I don't know if I can say it. It's kind of violent. Can I say it?
I mean, I can walk away with him.
Why don't you take him for
Yeah, I'll take him. Come here, baby.
They used to get the people who they consider communists and get the kids that they recruited, right? Giving them different tools, chainsaws, you know, like big knives. And they used to force these little kids and teenagers to rip these people in pieces for two reasons. The first one, to brainwash this kid, turn him into a killing machine, taking his humanity out. And the other target was to make these people who they were murdering scream as loud as possible, in order to make the other neighborhoods listen to what was going on there, to basically tell them, hey, if you don't work with us, if you don't follow what we say, this is what's going to happen. And that's the way the local gangs or the Bakrim started. These little kids and teenagers, they believed it, and they started working for the paramilitarians, created what we call in Comuna 13 combos, alright? These combos are basically friends of one neighborhood who get together to work for the paramilitarians. Doing what? Micro traffic inside their neighborhood and also extortion. Hey bro, candles, how you doing? Extortion, which we call in Colombia the vaccine. What is this? Basically, these kids go into your house or to your business and telling you, hey, we're keeping you safe. You need to pay us. They are keeping you safe from themselves. So these gangs were together because they used to belong to the same group, the paramilitarians. But eventually, these combos or gangs, they started having issues between each other. And they created what we call in Comuna 13 the invisible borders or invisible lines. And this made the Comuna 13 a really dangerous place to walk in. Why? Because there were plenty of different gangs all over the territory trying to protect their own territories. So if I live in Belencito and I come to Independencias, there will be two different gangs that are fighting with each other. And they will consider that I am a gang that belongs to Belencito. Now, well, it's kind of getting better, but the gangs still exist. What happened? Since the tourism arrived, right, these gangs, these paramilitarian groups, they figured out that they needed to show that Comuna 13 is not dangerous anymore, it's safer, to keep the tourist flow. So these paramilitarian groups, who are now like too powerful in Colombia, they gave orders to these gangs, stop fighting with each other, stop the invisible borders, maintain your own territories, selling drugs and doing extortion in your own territories without messing up with anybody else's territories. This was called the Rifle Pact, basically an agreement between all the gangs in Medellin to keep doing their business but not messing up with anybody else's business. This happened in 2015. 3 years later, in 2018, we had the last war between different gangs of Comuna 13. That was the last violent time in Comuna 13. This is kind of funny because even you cannot call the police in Comuna 13. These gangs are too powerful that if you have an issue at home or a fight, you don't call the police, you call the gangs. Police knows where the gangs are. but they never do anything about it.
That was 2018. How has Comuna 13 changed from the early 2000s to right now?
The answer is education, but there are more other answers. Other answer is tourism. Other answer is the hip hop culture. He's going to create a song, alright, with the words we just gave him. So nothing, I hope that you enjoy it. If you want, you can record, take pictures, whatever.
Porque tenemos estilo y esto en el barrio crece. Y si yo digo comuna,
And then you say 13, Comuna,
13,
Comuna. Con más energía el barrio se lo merece. Comuna,
13,
Comuna. Y
13.
un aplauso para ustedes porque sí se lo merecen. Let's say that we've been trying to give our children more opportunities. Not only building new schools, but also creating places like Toy House, like Casa Colacho, like Culturizarte. Places where you can go for free and learn something else to do. Why is this so important? Let me explain you. The strength of these gangs were little kids and teenagers. They were the ones shooting to people, asking for the vaccine, selling the drugs. So in Comuna 13 we figured out that the way to stop them, the way to make them lose control, power, was basically taking the children out of the streets, giving them new opportunities, giving them something to do, a reason to live, a reason to go to school. And this has been working. Let's say that, for example, at Casa Colacho, we've been doing it since 2013. And we've been working with around 5,000 kids now. Most of the rappers, b-boys, graffiti artists that you see around, they eventually came to Casa Colacho. They were part of it, or to one of the different cultural houses that we have around Comuna 13. The gangs still exist, but now they are getting older. They are not kids or teenagers anymore. They are losing a lot of power. And what's the reason? They cannot get as much kids. Basically, our children now, they are aware of what's a gang. They understand the past of Comuna 13, and now they understand that we're trying to be different. So most of our children right now, they actually want to be rappers, graffiti artists, or a social leader, or maybe a lawyer. They can go to university. But in general, the things are getting better. This place is really special. It's a place called Escuchadero, or listener. In this place you can get free psychological attention. 5 sessions. After those 5 sessions, you get advice on how to proceed if you have mental illness. So this is very good. It's a program by the government. It's for free. And it's not only happening in Comuna 13. It's all over the city. You are supposed to do this on it, and right? Exactly. If you don't squish it, it's going all the way up and you're gonna get wet, right? So try to squish it. This one you don't need to squish it because it has no lemon in it.
How do I get this blue now?
Alright, look, you just squish it a little bit, remember?
But how do I
Like this.
get that?
What do you think, Caspian?
This is pretty good.
So this is Maracu Mango. It's a cross between maracuya and mango, the 2 fruits. And it literally has all the pieces of the fruit in it and lime juice that you can dip it in. Really refreshing.
We're headed to Casa Colacho. It is part of the rehabilitation effort for Comuna 13 that is doing their best to pull the kids off the streets and give them something else to do.
Welcome to Casa Colacho. This is the hip hop school that I've been talking you about. This is the classroom. This is actually a space that we where we teach. This space is also used sometimes for parties. I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes we also perform concerts, performances, and that's another way we like earn some money to maintain like the movement that we've been doing. We have like places where graffiti is allowed, so we can try some graffiti if you want. Let me show you how to grab it. Let me see if your hands. Let me take your hands.
This is something cool. And then I spray some in the middle. Look at that!
Written by KRS-One. This speaks mostly about love, about sharing with people, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people listen hip hop and they are like, oh, dance or probably bad things, street drugs. But actually, guys, the hip hop culture is about love, it's about sharing, it's about knowledge. We already went through the darkest times in Comuna 13 and we managed to survive. And now we're getting improvements. Our kids are having better opportunities. I think we are succeeding. We have hope. That's it. So rest in peace, Colacho, and rest in peace all the people that we lost here in Comuna 13. Because of them, now we have what we have today, all right? And that's why you're here.
If I see you again, I'm gonna bring some money from like Belize, Guatemala, or different countries where I didn't get spend all my money. Then, when you have kids, you could give it to them if they want to travel. Then they could use it in those countries.
Oh man, that's so cute from you. Thank you. Let's do our secret like this, like this, down, boom. Like the one up. These,
You have to say for yourself, why do you even have a tag? That's what the public wants to know.
That will not be discussed. We're not
You
talking about
practiced that a few times. We hope you appreciated this tour of Comuna 13 and learned something. We definitely learned a ton. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications, and for a special behind-the-scenes look at our life driving around the world, come join us on Patreon. We will see you with our next video of Colombia.
No, I think it's we're just on a tiny little track.
it will never be legal anywhere because it's not supposed to. Because there's someone else.
Quiere que le demos más porque él le gusta el freestyle, le gusta el rap, así es que lo hacemos.